understand the game of investment. Okay, so I took time after I had lost. If I had known what I know now, I you know, no investment is 100% risk free, but I'm sure that I wouldn't have lost even up to a fraction of what I lost. So you don't win in a game you don't understand. All right, so for you to understand the game, you need to study the rules, you need to study the terms, you need to know who are the biggest players, you need to know who are the pawns in every investment, okay, in every sector that you want to make an investment in. All right, so one of the rules of investment is have an emergency fund. Why are we bringing emergency fund into the rules of investment? We thought that is a topic for savings. Well, yes, that's a topic for savings, but the reason why you need to have an emergency fund is that you need to save 3 to 4 months of living expenses in an accessible account before investing, so that if anything happens, you have something to fall back on. People have invested everything they have and then they lost every single thing they have. And when they lose every single thing they have nothing to fall back on when they lost that investment. So you now see people going into financial shocks. You know, during the time of MMM, I don't know how many of us did MMM, people died, right? People died because they lost everything they have. You know, MMM was like a bait. You put a little, and then after 30 days, you see, your money got matured, that you got 50% of your money back. So that was tempting. And somebody did it the first time, did it the second time. And I particularly, okay, what happened at that period is the person that introduced me to MMM, her husband was working in CBN. And so she introduced me and we're making money, and I really, really made money from MMM. Okay. I'm one of the people that really benefited from it. And so when I saw it was working, I brought in people. And then I brought in this guy, and this guy made money and he saw it worked. And this guy says, I have a huge chunk of money stored out somewhere. I'm going to put it in it. I said, no, don't put it in it. Why did I say no? This lady had called me and she had told me that CBN were fighting to make sure that this thing was shut down. I don't know if any of you remember that, but CBN was fighting to see that MMM was shut down. Whether they were the ones that eventually did it or whether it's the thing that crashed by itself, I don't know. But I got that inside information, and so I began to trade softly. And I told everybody around me, though she said I shouldn't disclose my source, I just did well by telling everyone around me, don't put big money in it, put what you can. And so because I discouraged this guy from investing with his house rent, he created a new account and invested the house rent so that I wouldn't know. And 2 days after he invested that money, MMM crashed. And he ran to me. What is happening? What is happening? I say, we woke up this morning and nobody can log into their systems, their pages. And he was like, he's finished. I said, what happened? He said he put his house rent. I was like, but I warned you. You told me you wanted to do it. I warned you not to do it. He said just wanted to roll over the money. Sharp, sharp. You know, since it was just a 30 days window. He just wanted to roll over the money sharp, sharp, and then withdraw his house rent. You know, since his house rent, which is in millions, would have maybe, let's assume it was in 1 million, it would have earned him 500,000. So that he can now use the 500,000 and be. I was like, boy, you should have listened to me. So under such condition now, the guy didn't have an emergency fund to fall back on. And of course, you can imagine what that has done to him psychologically. I'm sure if somebody takes any form of investment, even legit investments to him, he won't listen to them because of that experience. So you see, that's why you need to have an emergency fund, so that even if anything happens, this emergency fund helps protect your investment and helps you avoid financial shocks. Okay, I invested this money, I've lost it, life goes on. You fall back to your emergency funds as you keep building on your finances. The next thing you need to practice is the rule of 72. Estimate how long it will take for your investment to double. How long will you double your investment? Say you have 500,000, how long will you double it to become 1 million? Estimate how long it will take that investment to double in value, then divide by 72, you know, divide 72 by your expected return of rate of return. So if it's going to take you 3 months, divide that 3 months by 72. That's where you will know what your real expected rate of return is. Now you need to start early, investing as early as possible. And that's why I told us that this particular topic, for me, this particular masterclass, this January masterclass, may be the most important, because from now it gives you an edge to start making your investment plans early enough. It may be the most important masterclass that we will have this year. Okay, so you need to start investing early as possible. Now you need to invest regularly. Don't invest one and stop. Invest one and stop. No, you need to make it a regular habit. You need to be consistent over time with investment. I will still talk about that. It's a strategy in investment. And that's why I said if I had known what I know now in investment, I wouldn't have lost as much as I did from the beginning. Okay, so you need to invest consistently over a period of time. Then you need to think long term. Focus on building wealth over time rather than just making money. A lot of people want to do investment just for the purpose of making money. One of the primary purpose of investment is not to make money, is to build wealth. And that's why you see that most investments don't have really high percentage return, right? You see somebody do 5%, you see somebody do 2.5%. And that's why you see banks and all these federal government investments, they're always little fractions, because that particular investment is not supposed to make you money now. It's supposed to build you wealth. And as tiny as those interests are, when you leave them over a period of 3, 4, 5 years, it will amaze you how much your money has accumulated for you. Okay, so you need to think long term. Focus on building wealth over time rather than just making small money that you want to live by. Okay, diversify, spread your investment across different types of assets. This particular point is also very important. It is one of the ways to reduce your risk to the barest minimum by diversifying. If I take us back to the very first slide where I said I lost a lot of money, you will notice that all my investment was in one sector. It was in one portfolio. I did not diversify. I focused on just one aspect of investment. So when I lost money, I lost all, because the investment market across different portfolios are controlled, right, by the same market factors. And so let's use um just our Nigerian dollar, foreign exchange dollar, for example, right? Let's use foreign exchange for example. Say someone goes to zone 4 and you buy dollars to save. You want to invest in dollars. You start buying dollars. You start buying dollars. I remember there was a time I told somebody to buy dollars that it's going to shoot up, and then the person sent me 2 million and I bought. And immediately we bought, it started falling. So imagine that all the money that guy has is that 2 million, and the dollar crashed. He has lost, because let's assume as at December, dollar was almost hitting 1770, right? But no, before December, dollar was 1,770, 65, 80, like that. It was almost getting to 1,800. But in December, because of the influx of dollar into the system from people that came back for Christmas holidays, the dollar crashed. So someone who bought dollar would have like, oh, I'm finished. Who bought it at 1.7? Oh, I'm finished. And now you want to sell it and they're telling you 1.5, 1.6. You have lost almost 200 naira, right? Now, let's assume that you invested as much as 10 million and that's all the money you have. What do you think will happen to your heart when you hear that dollar you bought at 1.7, they told you we get to 2,000, you went to buy it at 1.7 because you were hoping it would get to 2,000, crashed to 1.5, and you invested 10 million. What if you had carried that 10 million and you put 2 million in dollars, you put 2 million in something else, you put another 2 million in agriculture? If this dollar crashes, you still have your agriculture, you still have the other industries to fall back on. So diversify and spread your investment across different types of assets. It will help you also cushion the effect of losses, right? Determine your goals. Consider how your investments will help you achieve your life goal, such as savings for a house or retirement. One of the investments I'm doing is a 15 years investment, and that investment is for my son. Okay, and what is the goal? The goal is that as he's coming out from the university, maybe after NYSC or after masters, whichever, he liquidates the investment and uses that to start his life, so that it will not be a problem of I'm looking for capital to do a business. So he already has a foundation, a financial foundation that he can use to now build up his life. That is my goal for that particular investment. And that's why I chose it at 15 years. So before the maturity time, he's done with school. Oh, mommy, I want to go into this business. I hand him over the certificate. Do what you want with the money. And so he's not running around looking for capital, because that is one of the problems that a lot of us have. Capital to start whatever business we want to start. But if I have that investment in place, no matter how much it is, then it might not be up to what he needs, but then it will go a very long way in setting up whatever he needs to set up. That is my goal. I was able to determine my goal, and so I was able to do it. Okay, so you need to consider what this investment you want to do. What is the goal? Some people invest for their children's university. So this investment is going to be for 5 years or 6 years. My son is in primary six now. So I'm making this investment for 6 years. By the end of that 6 years, my son is finishing secondary school. I'm going to use it to pay his university school fees. That could be your goal. It could be for something else. So determine what your goals are. Or it could just be at every year end, I want to be able to liquidate this investment and start a new year having enough money in my bank account to start the year with. Determine your own goal, right? Then invest in what you understand. Invest in what you understand. If I understood a lot of things that I understand now back then, I wouldn't have lost the amount of money that I lost. Avoid credit card debit. To avoid, you try to avoid taking on credit card debts, or generally try as much as possible to avoid debts. So when we talk about investment also has to do with the laws of money. And I just brought out two laws of money that relates to what we are talking about. And one of them is the law of risk and reward. Reward is often directly proportional to the risk involved. So higher risk, higher reward; lower risk, lower reward. I was talking to someone, and someone wants to do this. I was like, oh, so this one you're doing is for beginners. So me, I've left that level. See, but the risk is also very high. Are you ready? So you want the return on investment to be high, have it at the back of your mind that the risk is high. If you just want, oh, I don't have a very large appetite for risk, then you play it safe by investing in assets that have low risk. The second is the law of the mind. Just as we talked in the first session when we dealt with your money wounds, is what your mind can carry that makes the difference. What your mind can carry makes the difference. Are you thinking abundance or are you thinking scarcity? Are you thinking winning or are you thinking losing? If I have friends that when I talk to them about investment, all they can see is losing, I cut away from them. Not cut away from them like they're no longer my friend. Like I cut away from them like I no longer discuss investments with them. I do my thing quietly because I don't want you to inflict me with your scarcity or your losing mindset. I used to have a friend in the university that always thinks that nothing is working for her. Down to when we want to fetch water in the morning, she will say, "You see now, if you reach my turn now, the tap will stop flowing." And truly, when it gets to her turn, the tap will stop flowing. That is the mindset she has built for herself. And you need to understand that whatever thoughts that are dominant in you is what you keep attracting. So if your dominant thoughts are always thoughts of losing, even if nothing is going to happen to that investment, the moment you join, something will happen to it. And you say, "Hey, I said it." No, you did not say it. It is your mindset that caused it. It is your mindset that couldn't carry it. Yes, sometimes naturally, market occurrences can cause an investment to fail. But let us be able to say it is the market occurrences, not because of you always thinking that no investment works, always thinking that could it be real, always thinking that it is too good to be true. So, what is your mind saying to you when you think about investment? So, the next things we're going to be looking at is the different types of investments, different types of opportunities, or 6 things. I'm sure I ended up listing more than 6 things that you can invest in. 6 things that you can invest in. So let's move on quickly. In no particular order, but I would like to start with a very, very low to no risk investments, as in you can call them zero risk, and that is because they are controlled by the government of Nigeria. Any investment that is controlled by the government of a nation has little or no risk, and the only way that you can lose that investment is if that nation ceases to exist. For example, in this first category of what can you invest in, we talk about stocks, bonds, equity, mutual funds, right? You're talking about the treasury bill, the commercial papers, the term deposits. You're talking about the federal government savings bond. We're talking about the AfriTrack. We're talking about equity investments, in federal government organizations, or now there's a lot of privatization going on. Say, for example, you buy shares with banks or you buy shares with AEDC, Transcorp, things like that. Those are equity investments. Or you buy the federal government bonds or the school bonds or the corporate bonds. All these things are very safe investments. Okay, they are very, very safe investments. And the only time that these investments become risky, or that you will lose this investment, that you will lose your money, is if the government of Nigeria ceases to exist. Let me give us an example. Let's use Ukraine now as example. Ukraine will have their own stocks and bonds. Ukraine will have their own equity. Ukraine will have their own mutual funds, and people invested in them, right? And it was said that it's very low risk or zero risk investment. But because Ukraine is now facing war, all those people have, in quote, lost their investment. Because as far as we are concerned now, If if something is not done, sooner or later there might not be a country called Ukraine anymore. And even if there is, let's say somebody intervenes, let's say Trump intervenes, and then peace is restored to Ukraine, you know that the government will start building all over again, because they have lost money, they have lost resources, they have lost their buildings, they have lost their businesses, they have lost everything. So they are going to be like starting from the scratch again. In this kind of investment, you don't lose, but the risk, the returns are very low, they are very minimal. And so sometimes you might be seeing somebody promising you 12% per annum. That is because of how low risk the investment is. I remember we say the higher the risk, the higher the returns, and vice versa. So you want to make an investment where you don't want to ever lose your money. This is it. You will not lose your money investing in any of this. Now, to quickly just briefly take a look at all this, we know what the Treasury bill is issued by the CBN on behalf of the federal government, while commercial papers are issued by corporate bodies to meet a short-term obligation. You know, they are discounted instruments, and so they allow investors to receive upfront interest or reinvest the interest. For example, if you go and do fixed deposits, term deposits, they will give you your interest as you're investing upfront. You collect your interest. So if you collect your interest, as good as you did not, I've already gotten my interest, so it's only my capital that is there. So even if you lose, you are not losing both capital and interest. Okay. So the treasury bill has zero risk involved because it is a government and uh, is government regularized. The commercial paper and term deposits, you know, there is a measure of risk involved in those ones, but they are very minute risk. You know, they are money market instruments. All these things that we've talked about, the treasury bill, the commercial paper, the term deposits, they are market instruments, and the duration is usually short period. Sometimes you have from 90 days to 180 days to 1 year. Okay, so like here we said the duration is 1 year and below. The duration is 1 year and below. So are you still seeing my slide?
Yes, ma, we can see it.
Sorry. Okay, you're still seeing the slide.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let me continue. All right, so it's between 90 days, that's 3 months, to 1 year. All these are usually 1 year. Okay, so let's go ahead. The next thing you should in you should invest in is real estate, buying, renting, or in. So real estate remains one of the most popular ways to build wealth, you know. And some of the options you can do, because once you say real estate, people think it's just come and buy land, come and build house. And you start asking yourself, where do I have that kind of money to buy land or build house? Where do I have that kind of money at this time? You know? But buying land is just one of them. That's the most popular. Being a landlord, building your house and renting out is just another one, which is also very popular. Yes, and it ensures for consistent cash flows. But then we have others like Airbnb, where you have service apartments. You know, we have a lot of houses. I'm using Abuja because that's where I'm based. We have a lot of houses in Abuja where people are not occupying. And what you should think that they should do is to use this property to make money rather than just keep it under lock and key. Okay. Airbnb is one of the industries that is really thriving in this economy. All right. And so another way to invest, you might also say, I don't have the money, I cannot be able to afford Airbnb. So you've knocked out real estate investments is not for me. Buying land, rental properties, short-term rentals, which is Airbnb or service apartment, they are too capital intensive. They are not for me. Very good. but there are other aspects that could be for you, like the real estate investment trust, what they call REITs. It's a great way to invest in real estate without buying properties directly. You give real estate your funds, you earn interest as the trust managers, the manages the assets. So it's like, there are some companies that want to go into, let's say, what do they call it? Um, Mass housing, and then they pull funds from different people. They pull funds from this person give them 1 billion, this person give them 1 billion, 1 million. You can even give 100,000 because you want to be part of that this thing, and everybody knows how much their interest is going to be for every amount you get. I don't know if anybody has seen that before, where real estate people will tell you, okay, we want to go into this mass housing project, come and invest. For these are the different categories that you can invest in. You can invest from 500,000 to 5 million, from 5 million to this amount, you get this, or you get this, you get that. So when you put your funds into such organizations, when the real estate managers, the asset managers, the trust managers begin to work and make turnover on that money, you now get your own interest, and you also have opportunities to opt out at any time. Sometimes they might not even give you ROI in terms of financial and monetary values. They can finish the building and your ROI will be in terms of a flat, in terms of one plot. So you might not have been able to buy a plot by yourself, but because you got involved or you invested with a REITs, you get access to enjoy real estate investment. Now in Nigeria, you can invest in land banking. There are organizations that are strictly into land banking. There are companies that do that, where you buy and keep, not for the purpose of building, but for the purpose of selling after some years. Real estate co-ownership, like I've just explained, where they want to build a massive estate and they need people to bring their money together. As far as your money is in that company, you are part of the estate owners and you can pull out whenever you want. And property development projects. So these are the things you can do in Nigeria, in the US, in the UK, Canada. Platforms like Fundrise, British Land, Smart Centers, REITs allows easy real estate investment. So you can read up these things, you can do more research and look for, okay, what platforms in Nigeria can I use to make real estate investments, So these are ways that you can invest in real estate, and that is the second category of investment that you should think of making. Remember that we say diversify, don't keep all your investment in one asset class, right? So let's move to the third you should invest in is commodities: oil, cocoa, gold, and more. One of the participants, I think she dropped out, I don't know why she dropped out, was even the one who opened my eyes to investing in commodities, right? That power the economy, and you can invest in physical commodities like buying and storing gold, silver, crude oil barrels. Now you ask yourself, how can you buy gold? How can you buy silver? I'll come to that later. We're looking at it now as under commodities, so I don't want to jump the gun, right? Then you can buy commodities ETFs. They allow you to invest in oil and gas and metals or agricultural products without physically owning them. I will still talk about ETFs, so I don't want to spend time on it now. Another thing you can invest in is future contracts. And what is future contracts? They are high risk investments for traders who predict price movements. They predict price, like the dollar example that I gave to us. Now, because I've worked with the Bureau de Change for about 10 years. By virtue of that association, we understand the market. We can predict when dollar will crash and when dollar will rise. So to a large extent, our predictions come true. So if I tell you buy dollar and keep, It is not based on assumption. It's based on the environment where we are in, and also based on the fact that sometimes we have insiders there in CBN that help us to also be able to measure our predictions. So we know what is going to happen tomorrow. We know what's like one of the policies that could happen is license revoked. All your licenses are revoked. So when the change licenses are revoked, what happens? The people who are trading in black markets no longer have access to doing that. And so we start sourcing from alternative sources. The moment we start sourcing from alternatives, there becomes a scarcity in the dollar. And then the demand becomes higher than the supply. And once the demand for dollars becomes higher than the supply, the price of that dollar will definitely shoot up. So we understand this already. It might not even be that license were revoked. There might be some things that are going on in the economy. And with this thing that is going on, we know that dollar is going to go up. For instance, now using December, right? In December, we always know that dollar will crash. So if you want to invest in dollars, the best time to buy it is in December. Once that's approaching the Christmas period, or even in the peak of the Christmas period, that's when you should buy your dollar and keep. After that Christmas period, January, it will look like nothing is happening. But from February, the rate will go up again. Why? Because there was an infusion of dollar in the system. Now, another time that dollar will rise is around July, August, September, when you begin to pay for school fees, especially parents who have sent their children abroad. They have to pay for school fees. So the demand of dollar becomes very high, higher than the supply. And so the value will increase. So you see that thing you now bought in December. By September, you will be working on sunshine. You'll be working on money if you decide to exchange it around that period. So this is what future contract is, but it is very high risk. It is very high risk because the government also understands this timing, like this timing that I've used. They also understand it. And so because they're trying to control the price in the parallel market, they can decide in June, July, August, September to flood the market with dollars. And so you will not get that increase in the rate if the supply becomes higher than the demand. So this future contract simply means predicting the price of something and then pay it for it now. So I predict that dollar is going to go high by June, July, and then I buy now in January and I keep it waiting for June, July. So you buy or sell something at a predetermined price for delivery at the specified time in the future. That's why you also see that once these people, filling stations, hear that there's a rumor that price is going to go up, what happens? All of them begin to hoard their petrol. Nobody wants to sell because of the prediction. Some people will go and buy and buy and buy and store because of the prediction. That is what future contracts mean. Now, another thing is in Nigeria, when you want to invest in commodities, you should be looking at cocoa, palm trees, crude oil, solid minerals. They are very good commodities to invest in. Now you might say, I'm not a farmer, I don't have farm and all. I will still come to how you can make these investments when we talk about the ETFs. That's the next thing you should invest in, right? That is the next thing that you should be able to invest in. So as I've been mentioning REITs, I've been mentioning ETFs and all that. Now, how The next thing you should invest in is ETFs, and ETFs are simply exchange traded funds. You trade your funds in exchange for a commodity that you are not going to hold physically. You're not going to hold that physical the commodity physically, but it belongs to you. Now, I said I didn't want to talk about gold in the first place where we saw gold as a commodity. Now, gold has a longer storage value. You can buy gold as physical gold. You go to zone 4, you buy gold, either as earring or your chain or wristwatch, and store them. That's an investment. That's a very good investment. But the risk in that investment is that it can be stolen, it can get lost. Imagine wearing one of your gold earrings, and you know how our hooks will always fall, and the hook falls off, and you didn't know the hook has fallen, and then the earring falls. You didn't even know. You've lost money. But you see, if you're able to keep your golds properly, when you need funds, you take it back. You will never sell it at the same price that you bought it. Never. It's not possible. It's always higher. Gold is one investment that does not depreciate, just like land. Gold is another investment that does not depreciate, and that's why they call real estate the gold. Okay, so gold has longer storage value. You can buy physical gold or gold ETFs. You can buy gold ETFs. And how do you buy gold ETFs? Gold ETFs allow you to exchange your shares for actual gold. There are some companies that mine gold, and there are others that are, they deal with gold. They don't necessarily mine it, but they sell gold, right? And what you understand is that the year to date, as at today, or let me say as at December 2023 or 2024, sorry, or at the beginning of this January, the rate for gold in the market is hitting 33%. It's hitting 33%, and there are different companies that you can buy from, that you can invest in. The IAU is at 34%. The SPDR Gold, their shares is going at 34% too. The GLDM is at 35%. SGOL is 27%. And a percentage of your investment should always contain gold. So whatever you do, make sure that you invest in gold. You either buy it physically by going to make sure you buy real gold in the market, or you buy it as ETFs with these companies that we've mentioned. Okay, another type of ETF is a stock market ETFs, which is a basket of stock. Now remember that in the very beginning, the first thing I said, you should invest in stock. But the difference with this stock or shares ETF is that stock I talked about in the beginning. Let's say you buy stock from First Bank. The only stock you will have is First Bank. You buy it from Zenith. The only stock you will have is Zenith. But when you buy stocks or shares under ETF, it's like a basket and a collection of stocks from different stock markets. You are buying from different companies, not just one companies. So all those companies have been put together, and they sell their stocks under the companies that deal on these ETFs. So if I buy with one of these how do I use, okay, the app I use, my own safe investment app is Bamboo, right? I use Bamboo to invest. It's a very good investment. You can invest in naira, you can invest in dollar. Now, what Bamboo will do for you, they'll access your risk appetite, access your goal, and then they'll help you gather the investment that suits you. So you can now see that you'll be investing in different companies like Apple, Amazon, Google. You own a share in all these companies just because you invested in stocks ETF, as against investing in just normal stocks. If you invest in normal stocks, you are investing in just one thing. But if you invest in ETF, stocks ETF, or shares ETF, you're investing in a collection of different stocks. You hear something like Fortune 500 companies. If you are privileged to buy the ETFs of Fortune 500 companies, that means you have a stock in all the 500 companies. That is that is the advantage of ETFs, all right? So you can be in Nigeria and you have stocks with Amazon, you have stocks with Google, you have stocks with Microsoft, you have stocks with Coca-Cola. You know, stocks ETF has created the highest millionaires. It has created the highest millionaires. You can still be in Nigeria and you still have stock in all those places, and you still have stocks in Nigeria through the same one companies that are into ETFs. So ETFs is a very good investment that everyone should think about. Real estate, we said it's capital intensive, and I told you that there are ways you can do it through the REITs. So there's real estate ETFs. There's real estate ETFs where you buy in without having necessarily to put in so much millions. So I listed some safe investment apps here that one can use. I personally use Bamboo. For those who might be interested, we'll send up the link. Then there's Strove, there's Make Money, there's Stock Market. All these are um, apps that can help you invest in ETFs. So let's proceed to the next thing. The next thing you should invest in is agriculture. And in Nigeria, is fast becoming our green gold. Agriculture is fast becoming our green gold in Nigeria. Agriculture is a big business and essential for economic growth. You can invest in farming, direct farming, the normal farming, invest in crops, livestock, You can invest in agro processing, that is converting raw products into finished goods. Like people who do tomato paste, from tomato you do tomato paste. Those are investments. You can invest in things like that. You can invest in storage commodities and trading like cocoa, maize, palm oil, rice, and so on. The participant that I said dropped off, what she's investing is in palm oil. And how do you go about investing in agriculture? You might say, I don't have the land, I don't have the space, I don't even know how to farm these commodities, I don't know how to grow them. So what do you do, or what did she do? She leased a land in her place and got people who are already good in this to carry out the planting and all that until these trees grow. And when it's time, she travels home, they harvest, they get their oil, they get this one, they get that. Palm tree is one tree that almost every part of it is money. It can be sold, and she sells. And if she does not make money every harvest year, if she does not make money after expenses, she's making 7 million. And I asked her, how much did you lease the land, please? And she said, I leased, when I started, I leased for 5 years. How much is the 5 years? She did it at 300,000 per year. Why? You are leasing from villagers. You are leasing the farm in the village where these lands are not yet expensive. She did 300,000 per year and she paid for 5 years, and that's 1.5 million. And in 1 year, she's making 57 million. So is that good or very good? I have another person who is doing his own in Benue. He leased land and paid people to farm for him. And what is he farming? Yam. And they have called him and they said, your yam has gotten to maturity, and they've harvested. But guess what? They told him, we're not selling now. Why? They are waiting. We just new yam just came out September, October, November, so there's still yam everywhere. But then there'll be a time where yam season is over and then there'll be scarcity. That is when he would sell. So what they're doing now is storing the yam for him. So you see, if you can't even go into hiring renting the land and getting people to farm for you, because it also has its own risk. I have a girlfriend who went into something like that. She didn't know much about farming or the products, so she has a farm manager. Her own is to come and inspect. Everything went down the drain. So there's also risk in it, which is if you don't get good manpower, you could lose your investment. And if you don't get sincere people, they can be harvesting and not tell you because you are not there. So you see, every investment has a measure of risk. With how safe it looks as if agriculture is, that it has its own measure of risk. So if you can't even do the leasing and planting, you can do the storage. When people harvest from the farm, you can buy from the farm gates. Buy from the farm gates and store it. There are a lot of silos. Like one of the projects that I undertook with when we had the 18 month when we had an 18 months project with GIZ. It took me to travel to the north. I went to Kano, I went to Bauchi, and I went to Lafia. And there was a particular place in Lafia, the physical um, assessment we went to do was to see what these people had on ground. And when we went to this guy's storage, that whole area that whole area is full of storage. Everybody there is doing storage business. So you can buy these commodities from the farm gate and go hire space in these storage facilities because that is their business. And they store it for you until when you are ready to sell. And when are you ready to sell? When there is scarcity. That is when you sell. For example, we know when the prices of rice go up. We know when such things always go up during festive periods. Prices of rice are bound to go up. So if you decide to store bags of rice, when should you sell? Easter is by the corner. You get ready to sell. Salah is coming. You get ready to sell. Christmas will come. You get ready to sell. When you store yam, when should you sell? When new yam has gone and then there's now scarcity, the demand for yam is becoming very high. That's when you should sell. So you can either do the agro processing, you can do the farming, or you can do the storage. You can also do agri-tech platforms where you seek reputable ones or simply create yours. There are platforms that helps to determine productivity, where they use tech to help you predict your agriculture. You can invest in such things because people want to know, is my farm going to do well? They even go as far as telling you the soil test analysis and all that. So in Nigeria, you can invest in local produce like cassava, maize, yam, poultry, cocoa, just name it. While globally, you can invest in commodity ETFs like DBA, Agricultural Fund, and WITH. You can invest in WITH ETF. It allows you to be an indirect investor. Now, the next thing you should invest, the sixth thing you should invest in is okay, sorry. The sixth thing you should invest in is crypto and digital assets. We all know what cryptocurrency is. I'm not going to waste so much time here, but it has become a mainstream investment option, offering both high risk and high reward. So you see, this one is basically high risk, unlike all the other ones that we've been talking in that are not really so much of risk. But this one is telling you from the beginning it is high risk, but it also has high results. Now, what are some of the cryptos that you should invest in? We have Bitcoin, which is still the leading crypto. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are the biggest and they are the leading digital assets. Then we have stable coins, which is the USDT and USDC. USDT is safe to some extent because it's connected to the US dollars, right? So it's pegged as a flat currency to reduce volatility. So they try to use the USDT to reduce the volatility of the normal dollar currency. Then you should also invest in NFTs and tokenized assets, which is digital ownership of an art, music, and real world assets. For example, if you see you go online, you see an artwork, you buy the artwork will not necessarily come to your house. You never hang it in your room or your office, but you now become the owner of that property. If somebody sees that artwork and wants to buy it, you have the ownership of that artwork. So nobody else can buy it. So, but if somebody now sees it and wants to buy it, you can now sell it at a higher value. So you own, it's a digital ownership of property that you don't physically hold with your hands. But in that digital space, you become the owner of that thing. And that's why sometimes you use some kind of songs and maybe you upload on TikTok, you upload on whatever medium, and they flag it. They will never post this thing. Even on Instagram, there's some kind of songs that you post, they'll flag it. That your post will not fly. That is because somebody has taken ownership of that music or that art or that asset. Okay. The next thing in Nigeria, if you check platforms like Binance and Luno, those are platforms you can use for crypto investment. Why Coinbase, um, Binance, Luno are all still used globally. Okay, they are still used globally. So when you think about crypto and digital assets, these are the platforms that you can use. The next thing you can invest in is Forex, foreign exchange. And now this is the one that a lot of people are scared of, because why it is the leading investment that has turned many to millionaires is also the leading investment that have crashed a lot of people. Now, Forex has become a mainstream investment option that you should get engaged in. And the good thing now about Forex is that they are coming up with a lot of ways where you can now do copywriting, um, what they call copying, sorry, what they call copy. They launch their copy, and as they're trading, you're just seeing what they're doing and you can do it yourself. Forex now has different ways that makes it more palatable, unlike what we used to have before, which is you just invest your money and they are trading for you. Now you have the opportunity to download all the apps or the trading platforms. You have different trading platforms. They have Meta 4, they have Meta 5, they have different new ones are coming up every day. New ones are coming up every day. And when you do this, you can now be able to see how your money is being traded. You are monitoring your trading from the comfort of your home. You're not just blind trading anymore. It's not that time where you just have to give your money to a trader to trade to you. Now we have a lot of brokers. We have a lot of brokers that you can trade through. Some organizations will say, set up your trading system. Just give us the password. We'll be doing the work, but you are the one in control of your trading platform. Okay. So you will see how you lost the money or how you gained the money. All right. So another way you can trade in Forex is through the Bureau de Change, buying and locally, buying dollar in the physical currency, different currencies, and storing them. So these are the two ways you can invest in Forex. But it's always advisable that you contact an expert if you want to start a Forex investment. Okay, so the next thing you can invest in is yourself. Invest in yourself. Like what you're doing now, you're investing in yourself. There are so many things that you probably did not know before now that you now know. There are so many decisions that the time, these 2 hours that we have spent, will help you take. There are so many decisions that this session will help you make that probably before now it wouldn't have helped you. You wouldn't have known that you could do these things. You need to pay attention to financial literacy. Somebody sent me a message today based on my status and asked me, are people really paying for it? I say, yes, people are paying for it. And guess what? The truth is, I can decide to do this free, but I've noticed over time that when you do free, people casualize it. So I say, have a stake, lose the money, no attend, it's not my business. Like there's so many people that are paid that are not here. They invested in this, but they're not okay. So if I had done it free and I had given these people free, 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 and you don't show up, it would pain me now, right? I'll feel bad because it's my time, it's my intellectual property, it's my data, it's my research, it's a valuable information that people pay millions to learn. If you don't pay physically to learn it, you will learn it the hard way by losing, like I lost so much in the past. As of 2 years ago, I lost so much. I came down to ground zero. So to help a lot of people avoid making the same mistakes that I made because I did not have the knowledge that I have now, we organize things like this. Invest in them. Invest in them. Pay attention to financial literacy. Be disciplined with your money. Acquire high money making skills. Invest in the 5 F's, which is your finances, recreational activities. That's fun. That's the second F. Don't just be too serious. Life is already serious on itself. The economy has put so much pressure on people, so try to invest in fun. As you're making that money, remove the one that is for movies. Go and watch movies if you enjoy going to the cinema. If you are the type that will say, why will I go and pay 7,000 when I can watch it in my phone? Look for that fun that makes you happy. If it's football, go and play football. If it's okay, Netflix is how you like to have fun. Netflix and chill with popcorn and all that. Do it in the comfort of your home. If it is, I like karaoke. So I can decide, okay, every once in a month or every once in a week, every Friday night, I'm going out for karaoke. Make sure you invest in your fun. Could just take yourself out, go and have pizza and ice cream. I also like massage. So I could also just go pay for a spa session and enjoy my massage and come back home. That's another aspect to invest in fun because you need to be mentally sound to make very sound financial decisions. Okay, then invest in your faith. Invest in your faith. Are you a Christian? Invest time to know the God that you serve. Invest time to build the relationship with the Holy Spirit so that the Holy Spirit guides your intuition, just as we discussed, so that He guides your every decision. You want to make this investment, you can be able to say, should I go ahead, and listen and hear whether He's directing you to make this investment or not to make this investment. Don't just be a Christian by name. Invest in your relationship with your God. The next thing to invest in is your family. Have time for your family. When the chips are down, it's your family that will be there for you. In your lowest moment, it's your family that will be there for you. Your family are not just those people that you are related to by blood, biologically. Your family can be a community of friends who you know that are your go-to people. Invest in those people. Invest your time in them. Invest your knowledge in them. Invest your resources in them. Invest in them because, as the saying goes, if you have a candle, you're the only one that has that candle in your family. Once that candle goes off, the light has gone off from your family. But if you have that candle and you give light to your brother, you give light to your sister, if your own goes off, maybe wind blows and your light goes off, they can all now be able to reignite you with their own candle. Remember that you were the first person who lighted them up. They can now return the favor. So invest in your family. Invest in your fitness, your health. Invest in health. How many of you here exercise? How many of you here exercise? It could be just morning walks. Don't take those walks for granted. They are important. Invest in fitness. It could be you stay in your parlor, you put on aerobics and YouTube, and you're doing what they are doing. It could be going to the gym to pay for a gym session. It could be anything, but just make sure that you invest in your fitness. It might not even be all these things. It could just be saying, okay, when I go to, like, there was a time I went to Ministry of Finance, and oh, they have about, is it 11 floors, right? And I told myself, I'm not going to use the lift, I'm going to use the step. By the time I was getting to the 11th floor, which is where the minister stays, because it was the one I was going to deliver a letter to, if you know how I was panting, that's exercise, that is fitness. Now, assume you work in such an organization that is upstairs, right? That has different floors. Normalize using the step instead of using lift. When you go to some certain places, normalize using the steps instead of using lift. So that even if you don't have time to do the normal physical exercises of working out in the morning, going for morning jogs and all that, you know that I exercise every day in my office. You know, you exercise every day in my office. You know, it could come in different ways. Sometimes just park your car and walk. You have a car, yes, but tell yourself today I'm walking to the junction to go and enter a cab. Don't call Uber. Just invest in your fitness and then get skills. Get skills. There are a lot of skills that you should get. There are a lot of skills. There are skills that are relevant for the now, that are relevant for where the global economy is moving to. That is tech skills, cyber security, digital skills, um, social media skills. All those skills are what is moving the economy now. So get skills, get skills. When you see trainings on how to do them, acquire tech skills, don't be too stingy to yourself. That's why we say invest in yourself. Go and learn graphic designing, go and learn data analysis, go and learn cyber security. No matter how little that tech skill is, it will amaze you. It will amaze you. Also learn the remote workspace. That is what is trending now. Job shifted from the normal 9 to 5 where you have to show up in your office to remote since the COVID. A lot of companies are adopting it. Some are doing hybrid where you come into the office for 2 days and you work at remotely for 3 days. Some are doing full remote jobs, and I can tell you for free because I think in the past, from 2023 July till now, I have been actively on remote jobs. So that's why it looks like I'm always at home. Somebody would think this one does not have work, but I'm at home. And sometimes I'm working for companies in US. Sometimes I'm working for companies in Germany. I have an active remote job in Lagos, but I'm in Abuja and I deliver. So get remote skills because it is not the same way you do your 8 to 5, 9 to 5 that you do remote jobs. There are skills that are needed to succeed in the remote workspace. There are skills that are needed to succeed, and these are one of the skills that we are training people on in our company on a monthly basis. We carry out tech skills, carry out remote job training workshops, because they will teach you how to um, develop your portfolio. Your normal CV will not fly for a remote job. So you need to know how to come up with your portfolio. And you might say, oh, I don't have some kind of experiences. That is why we'll train you on the grammar, the English that you will use, and come up with your portfolio. That's what they want to see. They want, in remote jobs, they are looking for results. They are not looking for qualification. It's majorly for results. How to answer interview question, like there's an interview I did for a remote job, and they asked me, do you have a backup power? Do you have backup data? We would like to see your remote workspace. Can you turn your camera to show us? Because I already know these things. I made sure that my table and chair that I used for the interview was prepared like a workspace. They want to see your laptop. You have a good laptop. You must have a laptop to work as a remote worker. I got a remote job for someone just second week of January, because when we train you, you become part of our um, um, candidates, so that the organizations, the people I partner with, they help recruit for organizations abroad. So when these people send them openings, they now reach out to me and say, do you have anybody in your pool that can do this? Sometimes it's virtual assistant. And what is virtual assistant? It's just grammar. Virtual assistant simply means secretary or customer service. You see, if you are not in that remote space, you will not know that virtual assistant is customer service or secretary. And so you might not need a very professional degree to do secretary or customer service. All you need is a training. How do you answer call? How do you reply to emails? How that is what virtual assistant is. So they might ask us for virtual assistant, they might ask for data analysts, they might ask for social media managers, they might ask for project managers, projects in different aspects. IT project manager. I think why I didn't get that job is, yes, I'm a project manager, but the last question that they asked me is, are you an IT project manager? And I said no. And I think that's why I didn't get that job. There's even operations in remote work. There's business development in remote workspace. Okay, so there are so much opportunities. So when you see us say we're doing workshop for remote space, remote jobs, workshop, you need to capitalize on it, because the prices are highly, what's the word? We have cut them down for a lot of people to be able to afford it, because when I did my own training, I did it very expensive, you know. And I got this job for this girl. Now she needed to install their app in her laptop, which took her time to do. And after she finished installing it, they gave her her login details and her unique ID. Now it's just like being in an office. All of you are staffs in that office. All of you will have your different IDs. All of you will have your different um, job description. And so she had been assigned a job based on her own ID. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they were calling this girl, and this girl was not answering. And then they reached back to me and said, the candidate you gave to us has not been picking up calls. Please check what's wrong. And I went and she said, I've been very busy. My internet this, my laptop is bad. I say, okay, can you at least call them back and ask if they can give you time? There's a way to work in the remote space, because most of these offices are international organizations. They don't work like Nigerians. Working with a company in US, you cannot afford to work with the character that you work in Nigeria. And then she just goes and says, I'm sorry, I cannot meet up, blah, 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 blah. And that's how she lost that opportunity. So before I recommend you for remote workspace, we will be sure that we have trained you and we have been able to certify that you have all the gadgets you need to work in a remote workspace. If you're gunning for remote workspace, or you're gunning for tech, acquiring skills in tech, then look out for our programs. If you can't meet up with the February batch, the tech training starts from the 15th of February to the 15th of March. If you can't meet up with that February batch, you can decide to meet up with the March. The remote job for February is going to start, it's supposed to start on the 1st, but they might shift it to the 3rd. I don't know yet. But if you can't meet up with the one for February, plan for the one for March. Plan for April. It's every month because it's 30 days, right? Get a skill. Skill up and be part of what is happening in the global economy. Stop remaining here just doing things within your locality the way you have always been doing it from the beginning. The world is moving, and they're leaving people who are not positioning themselves rightly behind. And so, if you don't do or get involved in any of these areas of investment portfolios that we've talked about, you just depend on your 8 to 5 or your business that you're running, all you end up making is money to eat and survive. But if you really want to build wealth, then think investments. So this is where we are wrapping it up for today. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Any contributions? Any questions? Thank you so much for all your feedback, Dami. I'm glad that you are getting value. Thank you so much. Any questions, any contributions, any feedback? Or we're still all thinking?
Hello, ma.
Too much information.
Seriously.
Yes, we are
You know,
trying to think.
I always say that I don't do these things because of the money. I do it because I know that I've been in the position where a lot of us have been or are presently. Losing the amount of money I lost was not funny. And I will not, wait and allow another person lose it. If we calculate the ones I attached here, this is 4 million. I said it was for my son's investment. This is the second one. This first one here, it's not clear enough, but it's 6 million. So 6 plus 4 is 10 million. This is another 4 million, making it 14 million. This is 2.5, 16.5. This is 250. These are the ones I can see. If I tell you how much I lost. So when I went to study this, I told myself that nobody around me will lose that much money again. I will make sure that everybody around me understands it. If you feel, I posted something in my status. I say, pay that 2K. Don't allow see finish to make you to not pay it. And somebody will ask me, are people even paying for this? Yes, people paid for this. At least you that you are here, you paid for it and you paid for it. And I'm glad that you know that it's so much value, nothing compared to what you paid for. Thank you very much for your feedback, Mr. John. Thank you so much. Thank you. Any questions before we go? It's almost 11. Any questions?
Hello, ma.
Okay.
Um, I want to appreciate you for this financial class, and I appreciate this your vast knowledge on financial literacy. Uh, More strength and more knowledge in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank
Uh,
you so much.
you're welcome, ma. Like you have spoken well, you have taught us about a lot of investment, and like you talk about bamboo now. So if I want to start bamboo, will you be there to provide this mentoring, this putting, helping me? That me do it like this. This is how to do it. Will you be available to provide the
Yeah, sure. I'll
mentoring?
send you the
Okay, okay,
I'll send
okay,
you the link when you sign up
okay.
and we'll take it from you. It's quite easy to understand, but yes, I'll be there.
Okay, and can we slide into your DM to ask any question? I might not have the question now, but can I
Yes, you can.
always? Okay, okay. Thank you so much, ma.
Anytime. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate. Like it's like you caught me at the right time when I'm supposed to hear something like this. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you. So our master classes are once every month, and I don't just believe in holding sessions. I believe in holding sessions that are necessary part time.
Okay, man.
And we usually have financial our own financial trainers like the Obele Gospel Obele that I talked about. Check him up on LinkedIn. If he tells you go and buy this thing, no, it's going to go up, you better go and buy it. So we have such people train us, we have such people tell us this is where the trend is going. And one of the things he told us is um, leverage on investments this year. Leverage on investment, that should be one of the areas that we should focus on. Leverage on investment. And why should we leverage on investment? When I said if you don't understand the game, you will not be able to play and win, that you should study the big shots in that aspect. So when you go and you start studying on people that are making things happen now, let's take Elon Musk for example. He's one of the people that has the highest what do they call it, net worth right now. What is he doing? He's creating his own crypto, and he's trying to bring his own crypto into the market. He's also monetizing Twitter. Before you can do anything meaningful on Twitter anymore, you now have to pay for it. So if you are smart and wise enough, you can buy shares from Twitter because now they are monetizing it. So when you understand these things and you understand the people that play in this field, you'll be able to effortlessly know where the economy is going, how you should position yourself. And it's only people that position themselves rightly that will be able to maximize and take advantage of wealth creation. Okay, so I hope that you act on what you've heard. Now, the last thing I want to say, my conclusion for tonight, my conclusion is this is my advice. First of all, remember that you need to study and do your due diligence for any area that you want to invest in. But my advice is commit to monthly investment. Remember, there's a place that said do it little at a time. Commit to monthly investment, build your wealth one step at a time. Remember to set something aside for investment every month. I have done my investment for January. I did it yesterday. Remember to set something aside for investment every single month, no matter how small. Set something aside. One of the laws of investment is invest consistently. So you can say, okay, I want to be setting aside 50,000 for investment every month. It doesn't have to be millions. That's where people miss it. People think until I have it in millions. No. Now, consistency is key to growing your stock portfolio. I encourage everyone to commit to setting aside a fixed amount each month for investing in both Nigeria and in the US stocks. In ETFs, no matter how small, you can, for Nigerian stocks, you can start with as little as 5,000 monthly. You can put in 5,000 every month to acquire Nigerian stocks. This can be based on your ability. Focus on your own capability, right? Now, for US stocks, you can invest as little as $5 monthly. Most platforms allow fractional investment. You can do $10, you can do $100, you can do $1,000, and so on. Just start from where you are and grow. Then the next thing is, why is this strategy good? Why is the strategy good? One of the things we talked about, healing your money wounds, is try small and see the outcome. Try it small and see the outcome. So why is this strategy good? It works well because it allows you to invest at different times, taking advantage of both market highs and low. So I can buy dollars today and dollar is low. I buy dollar tomorrow, dollar is high. I buy next tomorrow, it is low. So I'm now using these low times to now balance up the high time. When I buy now that is low, I use it to balance up for when it is high. So practice buying consistently. Practice buying on a monthly basis. It will help you build a solid portfolio over time, increasing your long-term upside potential. I urge you to make this commitment to yourself starting this month. January has ended today. Let's say starting in the month of February, tell yourself, I'm going to get that Bamboo app. Another people I use is Afri Invest, because they always send us the stock news for every day, every week. They'll tell you, okay, commercial paper is out, it's at this amount. They'll tell you this bank and this bank are selling. They always guide us. They give us investment advice. So I'll also use the Afri Invest. Okay, so I urge you to make a commitment, start this February, and by the end of the year and in years ahead, you'll be amazed at the wealth that you've built. Start small, stay consistent, grow big, and enjoy a beautiful investment journey. This is where we call it, this is where we end the masterclass for today. And thank you all so very much for staying true to the end. I appreciate you all, Damilola, Salvation, Azinge. Even though I did not hear your voice, you didn't say anything, you didn't write anything on the chat. Mr. John, I think Stella has logged out, and others who left, Blessing, Basil left, Joy left, but um, thank you for being part of this session. I hope that when we announce the February session, it's always at the last, towards the end of the month, okay? So that it helps you to plan for the next month. I hope that when we announce that, you'll be part of the class. Have a wonderful night rest and happy investments.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.